Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. We're going to go ahead and get started. Today, I want to talk to everybody about truancy. We're going to go into just a little bit about what it is, how it affects our school and community, some of the laws surrounding truancy, and some of the laws that back up the students as well as the school. So without further ado, we shall get started. First, I would like everybody to get with a partner. Just find somebody in the room, get with a partner. We're going to do just very quick little warm-up activities. So go ahead and find yourself a partner. Once you get with that partner, I want you to talk about some of your highest achieving students, some of the students who do just incredibly well with their academics, just behavior, just some of your highest achieving students. Don't use names, just kind of talk about some of your high students. But again, do not use names. We're going to be confidential. Now, everybody, if you would bring it back, now that y'all have done that, I want y'all to talk about, without using names, some of your lower achieving students, some of the ones who are just struggling, they are not getting it. They're really just having a hard time. Now I want y'all to talk about just what are the differences? What are some of the differences between the highest achieving students and some of the lowest achieving students? And there's probably going to be a few different things. So we'll take a few minutes and hear and let some people share out some things. Obviously, we'll hear a lot of different things, but we're only going to focus on just one area today. Okay, I want to share just a little story with everybody about this school year. Currently, we are in the hybrid approach. We have students that are in person. We have students that are virtual. I want to give you all a story, just a very quick little story about a couple of students. We'll call them Student A and Student B. The first semester of this school year happens. Student A, Student B are both virtual students, nowhere to be seen. They do not join Zoom calls. Parents have been somewhat difficult to get in touch with. They are not present. They are not active. We're not sure what's going on. Student B in the past has proven to be a behavior issue. Again, in the past, this is a new year. Things are different. So this goes on for the first semester. Some things are put in place. Finally, parent meetings are held, and some changes take place. Student A, we go through the steps of the handbook. We follow what it asks us to do for truancy. All parents are contacted, and we have our final sit-down meeting to stress the severity. Semester 2 rolls around. That student is now active every single day. They're participating. They are achieving. They are not just growing, but they are achieving and doing incredibly well in their grade level. Student B, we as well, similar process. This student actually begins to come back in person. They are no longer virtual. The plan for them is for them to be back in person, see a tremendous change. Behavior is improved, academics improve. This is just a very quick little story about the importance of our children being in school. So why truancy? Why are we talking about truancy today? What is truancy? Truancy is just simply when a student has stayed away from school for a long amount of time and there's not a valid reason. They're skipping school. They're just not present. Students need to be at school. That is the bottom line. It is the law. It is the state law that children must attend. School-aged children must attend school. If students are not at school, how do they learn? This has got to be the first thing. This is why this is such a priority. We cannot do anything if the children are not in our building, if they're not present, if it's a hybrid, if they're not on the Zoom calls, if they are not in front of us. How do we teach them? What can we do? In the past, we hear a lot about, well, truancy, it's on the parents, which it is. The law is going to fall back and it's going to affect the parents. But what can we do as a school and a community to support our families in getting our kids to school? So a couple of objectives I want everybody to take away from today. First, my hope is teachers will understand and know the laws surrounding compulsory school attendance are basically mandatory attendance, meaning compulsory attendance, the laws that say school-aged children must attend school, and that everyone will understand and know the steps taken by the school and the state to assist families in making sure they come to school. So it's not just an arbitrary law. We're just saying, you need to come to school. There's some teeth to it. There are some things that say, if your children are not brought to school, this is what can happen. Compulsory attendance. So how is it that the state is allowed to mandate attendance? The state has the right and duty to make sure its people are educated for its own protection. So in this case, the state's rights actually supersedes the right of the parents, because the state needs to make sure its citizens are educated and taken care of. School attendance and child labor area are two areas in which the state control supersedes parental control. So in this area, and there have been a couple cases that have gone to court where the courts have ruled that in this area, the state has the right to say that your children must attend school. Mass education is essential to the preservation of liberty, well-being of our society, and it is crucial to the economic and social welfare of the people. Basically, we need to make sure that the state is ensuring that we are teaching people to be citizens, to function in our society, and to contribute to what we do. These are just a few of the reasons why the state has the right to say your children must come to school. Here is the actual mandatory law, the compulsory attendance law. Under the penalty for noncompliance set by law, every parent, legal guardian person having control must send their school-aged children to school. There are some exceptions. We're not going to get into those today, but there's exceptions around homeschooling and around age, as well as adult education. I have linked the code right here if anyone wants to go take a look at the full thing, as well as some of the exceptions. But today we're really just going to focus on mandatory attendance and why that works, and what the school and the state have to kind of back that up. So some of the effects of unexcused absences. So let's jump right into it. A student that is showing truant, what do we do? The board of directors for every single school needs to adopt student attendance policies. So basically, every school district, the state is the one that has put the law out saying students must attend school. It is up to schools and their board of directors to come up with a policy on what they're going to do and what they're going to follow. As part of its educational plan, every single district needs to develop strategies for promoting student attendance. This includes alternative class, in-school suspension, restorative practices, SST meetings, which we'll talk about. But there needs to be something in place in the school district that shows this is what we do to support our families bringing their children to school. A student attendance policy may include unexcused absences as a mandatory basis for denial of promotion or graduation. So that's another piece backed by the state. Again, the code is right here if anyone wants to go take a look at it. But they can use that. The school can say your child is not attended, they've been truant. As a result, they are not being promoted to the next grade, or they are not graduating. So there again, these are some of the things that schools have used to say this is going to happen if your child does not attend school. I also want to talk quickly about community truancy boards. So one of the pieces of this law, this part of the law is extensive because this is such an important area, compulsory attendance. Just very quickly want to talk about community truancy boards. Local school boards may create a community truancy board or use other boards that exist to help do some of this work. Members of these boards shall be selected from representatives of the community. So the community needs to figure out who's going to be on these boards. Duties of a community truancy board include, but this is not a limited list, school attendance. Such as whether it's assisting a parent or child, providing supplementary services, working with an alternative program, working with a dropout prevention program, really just brainstorming and coming up with ways to help the children attend school. So those are the duties of a community truancy board, and I'll let y'all also kind of read through this. I won't just read every single thing, but that's what the community truancy board is doing. Okay, compulsory attendance law. So just going into some more pieces of the law, as well as the court case. Parents can actually be penalized with a criminal penalty if their child or children are declared truant, meaning if the parent is not bringing their child to school. We just talked through some of the things that schools do to support, some of the things that can happen. At the end of the day, it's going to fall back on parents. The parents are the one that are going to get the full brunt of not bringing their children to school. The court case Prince versus Massachusetts, the court upheld the constitutionality that the state can pass compulsory attendance laws. Those reasons I stated at the beginning, those are some of the reasons that we know that this is why the state can put these laws in place, and it's been upheld in court. It's also important to note a school district does not have to consult with parents regarding the consequences of their child missing, meaning if the community truancy board or the school designs their policy around after you have been declared truant, once you've missed the certain number of days, once you miss that 10%, you are now truant. 10% typically mean you've missed 10% of the days of the normal school year, you would be considered truant if those are unexcused absences. Truancy charges, they still must be based on evidence, and the school must present factual information, meaning I have a child that is truant, I want to send them to the truancy court. There must be evidence in place showing this is how I know they've been truant. Otherwise, there will not be a conviction of the parent. So I know this is rough stuff to talk about, but it goes back to how important it is to make sure the children are in school every single day. Again, the school must show evidence if these children are truant. So let's talk about us. Before we do, does anybody have any questions? And feel free to stop me at any time if you do have questions to go through any of this. Or actually, before I get to the slide, would anybody like to talk about currently at Pine Bluff Lighthouse Charter School, our school, what is our policy? What is it that we follow? What does our handbook state to parents? Okay, so here is our handbook, and here's what we follow. First, every single day a child is absent from Zoom or in person, they receive a call. Every single day, you know, we took attendance this morning, the child is not here, we're calling home to find out. After 3 days, a certified letter is sent home with myself, the principal's signature, a note I've written about, hey, just notice that your child has missed 3 days unexcused. They don't have to be consecutive. This is a concern. Please let us know how we can support. It's always important to know how can we support. After 5 days, a notification is sent through certified letter. The day that on that 5th day, that letter is either sent on that day or the next day, a student support team meeting notification is sent, meaning the parent must meet with myself, culture coordinator, the teacher, and come up with a plan. So these are called SST meetings, but this is a big deal. For 5 absences, that parent must respond. During this time, an action plan will be created with the parent or guardian. Once 7 days are hit, another meeting where we follow up. Hey, this is the plan we put in place. What happened? 9 days. At 9 days, you're only 1 day away from being 10% absent or chronically absent for the school year. Another SST is sent. At this point, the school may reach out to the Department of Child and Family Services or the Juvenile Court for additional support. So at this point, this is where we can oftentimes, especially if the parent is having trouble working with us, if the plan is just not working, this is a time we could reach out to the courts and let them know we need some support. That evidence needs to be collected. Have we called home every single day? Have we followed what we've said? And can we show that the child has been absent unexcused? How does this apply to you? So before we go to the next slide, I'd love to hear, how does this apply to you as a teacher day to day in your classroom? Think about how important it is. Think about our discussions, how crucial it is that our children are at school every single day. What can we do to ensure the children are at school every day? Now that we know this law, what can we do? Here are some of the things that help us actually put this into practice. Keep track of who is missing, who's missing, not just who's missing assignments, but actually keep track of who doesn't have great attendance, who is not showing up on a daily basis, or who maybe misses a day a week, even every other week, who's just randomly missing days. Carefully review these policies that we went over. Really go through them and make sure you understand them, the SST process. Carefully review those, because you can also use that to express to parents when you speak to them, hey, little Billy has missed 5 days. I know you have an SST meeting coming up. How can I support? Because again, we're always here for support. Reach out to the parents of students who are showing excessive absences. It makes a big difference when we have multiple people reaching out. You have the administrator, you have yourself, to show parents how serious this is, to make sure they bring their children to school every day. Reach out to administrators for support. We do not want anything to fall through the cracks, but realistically, things do fall through the cracks, and we cannot let this happen. Reach out to myself for support. Reach out to Mrs. Bryant, to the DTL, to the culture coordinator, Mr. Geiger. Reach out and tell us, hey, little Belly's been absent 2 days in a row, or he's been absent a lot this last couple months. I've submitted attendance. In case we miss it, bring it up. Let us know. Hey, are we following the steps? Hold us accountable. And finally, kindly remind parents of the importance of their child attending daily. When you have conversations with parents, especially with one that they're having some trouble with it, remind them and talk to them about what is it, just how important this is. Offer support. We are here in a support role. How can we help your child get to school more often? These are just a few things. Does anyone else have any ideas on how this applies to practice? Also, incentives. Think of different incentives. Celebrate. We're going to start we need to celebrate those who are here, who are showing up every single day. So we can celebrate those kiddos. This isn't something to make those who are not attending feel bad, but it's just something we can do to celebrate those children who are showing up every single day. But again, keep thinking about, how does this apply to me in my practice? Because we know the law, we see how serious it is, we see how important it is that children are brought to school every single day. Question. Okay, the very last part is a very quick assessment. I just want to see what learning was gained from this professional development, what questions people still might have. In case you don't want to share a whole group right now, you might have something on your brain, and this is a time for you to kind of just think about it, put it on paper, let us know what questions you might still have around the law. So I'll let everybody go to this Google form and fill out this quick assessment, see what you were able to gain. And I thank everybody so much for their participation. I hope everyone has a wonderful evening. Thank you.